Well, I'm from Ecuador, from South America. We found, with my wife, we start this company, Pacari Chocolate, in year 2002. So we have 10 years around. And we start since the beginning trying to have a sustainable, ethical, and finally tree-to-bar chocolate made in Ecuador. I have no background in chocolate. I was studying law. My wife, finances, and stuff like that. So it's nothing to do with our career or something like that. But well, we jump in this world of cacao. A few people start asking for cacao from Ecuador, and we Ecuadorians knew that we have one of the best cacaos on earth. And if you ask any Ecuadorian which is the best cacao, they are going to say the Ecuadorian cacao for sure. I think the influence of the volcanic ashes in Ecuador. We have 8 active volcanoes in the country, and that affects absolutely the soil. This is one of big geological thing, and the other thing that I also think it really affects is how the weather it is. We have a special weather. We have just for you to know, in fact, we're one of these mega biodiverse countries. We have more birds than whole North America, or more birds than Brazil. So we have a lot of tiny microclimates, which gives different flavors to the cacao. We have places which are very rainy, very less sun. We have almost deserts where all cacao is coming from. So we have volcanic ashes. We have no volcanic ashes. Different fruits going around, different geological situations. So all this mix is what makes Ecuador interesting in terms of cacao. And this is what I think is one of the main stories also to tell. Everyone is speaking about, well, the Complejo Nacional by Trinitarium, the National Complex by Trinitarium, this is how technically we define the cacao beans from Ecuador. But in reality, Ecuador have 50% of the genetic bank of the cacao on earth. Ecuador has been dealing with cacao the last 200 years. I mean, mostly of the story of Ecuador has been built with that. The first banks were founded in cacao. The independence in 1824 were based on cacao interests. The liberal revolution in Ecuador, this is the beginning of the 1900s, etc. So Ecuador has been absolutely, we're the first producer of cacao on earth in 1900, and we lost 90% of the production because the witch sprung until 910. So we had all this money, our country, before being a banana producer or a flour producer or a oil, petrol producer, before was cacao, absolutely. We didn't went to school to study how to make chocolate. We were thinking out of the box, kind of. So that helps. And we wanted to do something which is kind of less processed. Our definition or concept of raw chocolate is minimally processed cacao. We knew that cacao had by itself, by nature, tons of flavonoids and antioxidants, very healthy stuff. And again, a little bit like a carrot. When you cook a carrot, you destroy the beta-carotene and E vitamin. Well, if you eat it, you're not going to be hungry, but doesn't mean that you are really getting the fine nutrients. A little bit, this is the philosophy behind, and what we are trying to do is this, treating cacao with a lot of respect. I mean, I know that there is people who's roasting cacao for, I don't know, 130 degrees for an hour. So our approach is trying to be exactly kind of the opposite, no roasting, something like that, and other type of fermenting, and well, fine refined until you get something really creamy for your mouth. But this destruction of the flavor of cacao. So in the meantime, when we were doing that, we discovered that cacao is our cacao in our chocolate develop a lot of other fruits, flavors, fruity, really fruity. This very fine acidity, really mellow acidity in your mouth that really makes you wet your mouth, very other flavors like a little bit greeniness, like pine trees, or like some spices. Sometimes I have tried this chocolate with like it would have cardamom or cumin. I mean, we saw this absolutely kind of new fine flavor, different flavors on, because the typical fine flavors are floral, fruity, caramel, malt, nuts. And we start to see all these in this raw chocolate. We start to see this big other variety of very lovely flavors that maybe were destroyed by over-processing. So that's a little bit the story, because this bar right now, we start with this raw, and right now we see a lot of people trying to approach that concept, and this is really a concept that we developed, and I see this affecting the industry somehow, and it's possible to have a positive effect in the industry. Beans are picked, first of all. In order to have a good chocolate, you need to have good cacao. If you want to have great chocolate, you need to have great cacao. So the whole procedure starts really at the farms, where people, well, can you imagine you are walking, it's 36 degrees outside, and you are in the end of your farm, you are a farmer, and you are then on the farm, and you need to bring all these pots, carrying them physically, and you need to walk half a mile or a kilometer in order to come to the place where you can start fermenting. So people is tempted to take, by example, a green cacao pot and bring it. In order to have a good fermenting, you need to have this good ripe, must be absolutely yellow, precisely ripe. Don't overripe, ripe. So with that, you start absolutely a total procedure, which is new in the practices that everyone is doing that. So first of all, right craft, getting the right crop. Later on, properly fermented. Fermentation is an art. It's very complex. And not many people know it. You can ask the people here, maybe more know it. And fermenting is another art to be developed. We start to do our own methods of fermenting. We are developing a special box to make fermenting. After that, you have, again, the same art must coming into drying. Must be perfectly drying. What we do is mostly shape drying. We don't use a strong drying procedure. So we have this really close connection from the source of quality, and we control the quality. Later on, for sure, we have our own procedure of roasting, or procedure of deshelling, which has been developed by ourselves. It's not a machine that we bought already from the typical industry. So we have our own ways of doing that. Mostly of the procedures are made by hand. We have a few machines for sure. And so the art is not starting in the chocolate as a chocolate maker, but really at the farms. So we work right now with 3,000 families, can you imagine? The quality that we get is, since the beginning, is the top. to our factory in Quito. Our factory is almost 3,000 meters high of altitude. So we have a fantastic condition there. We don't need to, it's a dry weather, and we have half of the oxygen that you do have here, by example. So that's very nice because we have a lot of less problems with bacteria. Basically, when we go there, it's cold. Over there is like, or typical weather is like from 10 to 20 degrees. Yeah, so it's cold. So all the bacteria that was in the tropics stops over there. We have this luck, and less half of the oxygen. So we have this really healthy environment by nature that is over there. So we don't have problems of melting the chocolate or stuff like that. We have this pretty well controlled. So I think part of the thing is to have this factory in Quito, where do I live, and to be close from. It's really a strategic place to do it. I think also that. So that also helps. And this, again, by not being studying in the typical classical way, we had this approach. We never had this influence. So we were trying to figure out how to do chocolate in our own way. And I think we did it. And so we have really tiny amounts. Everything is tailor-made. Every batch of cacao is treated differently. I assure that this chocolate, if you get the load BD 612, is going to be absolutely different than the BD 6113. Every chocolate is different. You can. It's like a single malt, single cask whiskey. It's like a barrel of wine and not a blended. We don't blend. We hate standards. We don't want to have this boring chocolate going on. We want this very different approach, like wine. If we have a crop like this one, it's going to be absolutely different than the next crop because the weather is different. Every production is different. Every year is different. We have a chocolate that only appears there, or Nube, which by the way won a silver medal in New York in the International Chocolate Awards. That it was a crop that only happened 2010, but to give you an example. And it's extremely floral, but didn't appear 2011, didn't appear this year. Hopefully appears. So is this like a photography that never repeats again? It's a shot in time that happens, but is not coming back. So this is a little bit, I think we are running into this vintage thing also. This is a special crop, a special year as wine. This is, I think, the way how chocolate is moving. Well, the iconic is really floral and fruity. This prom flavor, these red fruits going on, this complexity really, the floral, jasmine is clear floral. And to be honest, I haven't tried such a jasmine floral. I haven't tried from anywhere else in the world. And the fruitiness of Ecuador is very distinct from the fruitiness you can get from other places. This is part of the classical characteristic of a national, Arriba Nacional complex. That's what I suppose. But anyway, by example, the Nube is absolutely rose. They have no cacao flavor at all, not chocolate flavor, and no cacao flavor at all. Just rose, pure rose. Again, this is one of the things that if you blend it, you're going to have a splendid thing. Manabi have this jasmine and, again, red fruits going on. This one is a very, more this nice acidity, this positive acidity going on in this blend called 70% raw. If you go to other places like Esmeraldas, it's very caramelly, very mellow, more like a European chocolate, more classic chocolate flavor. But caramelly, not as fruity as a floral at all. If you go to Los Rios, you get more fruitiness, and sometimes some spicy also there. Ecuadorian is more complex. Ecuadorian cacao beans are much more complex than on one origin, boring origin, like, I don't know, whatever other. It's very complex in each area. And this is the beauty of discovering cacao. We are the only biodynamic chocolate on earth right now. And just to tell you this tiny sentence, it cost me 6 years. Yeah, it's, oof. But it was really an experience because you were thinking, here we have this, I mean, in Europe and in Occident, we have this very structured Cartesian or Newton way of thinking science. You know, we are very positive, you know, scientific mind. And I was thinking how I can explain this, this biodynamic thing to the farmers. But well, we went there. We started making the courses and making this approach of that. But they were taken like that. I mean, they took the idea immediately because they understand cycles. For us, we think linear. They're thinking curvy. You have the tri-season. For them is normal. For us, the supermarket is open 24 hours. Yeah. For them is you have timing. So this, for example, it has been a really beautiful experience with the farmers, and we have fantastic effects. Way of describing a little bit is like kind of homeopathics for agriculture. You put tiny amounts. Can you imagine a bar like that? We put in a hectare, which is 100 by 100. We put the half of the weight of this bar, which is 25 grams, of one preparation made from silica, and that the farmers can get it in the river. We just smudge silica until we make it powder. We put it inside a horn, special horn. I don't want to go further than that. And you put it under the soil like 6 months in a special time of the year. And later on, you spread that in water. Can you imagine the amount? It's nothing. Just for you to compare, if you want to put nitrogen, by example, what the people, the recipe is put a ton per hectare, a ton. You need, it's 1,000 kilos that you need to physically take and put it in the soil. It's just tremendous amount of work. And I don't want to go far back because you need to pump the oil past the Andes, going down to the that's the cycle of our oil in Ecuador. It goes down to the coast, take the boat, past Panama, come to, I don't know, Rotterdam, go into the industry, become nitrogen, coming back. Can you imagine that? Later on, coming back to, I don't know, one of the ports, and later on physically taken to the farm, which is like that, steep, and physically put it that, it takes a lot of energy. So I really prefer to put these preparations, and the effects that we have, this is not the only preparation, it's much more complex than that, but the results that we do have is 25–30% higher yields. We had the experience of having these cacao beans, which are just much stronger, that stop our machinery. Can you imagine? We have been doing, 10 years chocolate. And we start doing with this one and stop the machinery. You need to do it it takes longer, I don't know, 50% more time. And that is really a physical effect. So it's not something that maybe we don't understand right now, because we are just monkeys try to speak about quantum physics or something like that. Maybe we don't know, but that's another story. Not because we don't know means that doesn't work. So we have seen physical differences, and that means that the cacao solids are much stronger and much more in this type of cacao than the other ones. There is a study, if you want, I can send you, that biodynamic carrot, by example, have 30% higher content of vitamin A. A biodynamic compared with an organic one. So it is a fact. I mean, I don't need to be convinced. You need to be convinced, but it's something that after all this work with the farmers, you really see the change. And whatever is convenient for the farmer, which is and these are a little bit the reason why, one of the reasons we are doing that is really to pay the farmer properly. We're paying sometimes 50 to 100% more as the current price. So we are really putting price on quality of cacao, and the way that they do it, that they keep having this old cacao, which is the heritage of and the future of cacao for the future generation. And we want to have it that. So this is a little bit the work. So we are putting the poorest part of the chain the money. That's why we are standing for it.
Virgen de las aguas, de Quimsacocha, Virgen de las aguas, de Quimsacocha.